Hello and welcome to another episode of They Disappeared. I'm your host, Pat Draven. Boomer Lake sits quiet in the early winter dusk, just outside Stillwater, Oklahoma. To some, it's just a patch of water framed by neighborhood homes and whispers of small-town life. But to one family, it's where the world went silent. Where a man named Dusty Clark vanished. No goodbye text, no phone call, and no trace. Only shadows and silence. Dusty Koal Clark was born on July 6, 1994. His mom, Kimberly, remembers the day vividly. She named him after Dusty Chandler, George Strait's character in the movie Pure Country. His middle name, Koal, K-O-L, was born from a joke, Skull Dip, with the S removed. For this episode, I had the privilege of speaking with Dustin's mom, Kimberly, to get insight into who Dustin is and where things stand in his case.
He was a joy. It was his way or the highway. He came over and told my husband when he was about 6, he goes, "Well, you may as well spank me." "Why? What did you do?" "Nothing yet, but I'm just getting the spanking over with because I'm going to do it anyway." Okay.
Now, it was difficult, but Dustin was open about who he was. He came out as gay to his mom, but she didn't blink. "You're my son," she said, "and I love you." But being different in small-town Oklahoma came at a price.
And he knew he did quit high school because of some bullying. Some older kids found out, that he was. And it was either by his own admission, "Mom, you're either going to let me quit school or I'm going to cop a charge." And I'm like, okay, we need to do something here. Because when we went to the principal, it was, well, now, kids are kids. No, they're not. If I doubt if you'd be telling me that when you were calling me to tell me that my son beat the crap out of somebody.
After he dropped out of school, Dustin fell into addiction, particularly pain meds. And he ended up on probation for check fraud.
And the court stuff, it wasn't even drug related. It wasn't even violent. He had stolen some of my adopted mother's checks. And she enabled him a ton as far as, no, he didn't do that. He wouldn't do that. And, it got her into a lot of debt. I'm not talking about, 3,000 or 4,000. I'm talking about 10 to 20.
Oh, wow. Life was already hard. And then came Eric.
He also, the young man that he was seeing since he was 15 to 16 maybe, was worse than a drug.
Dustin and Eric's relationship was volatile, toxic, even violent. During one incident, Eric bit Dustin so hard that it left a permanent scar on his ear. Kimberly tried to report the abuse, but Dustin was an adult. In December of 2017, on a chilly day in Stillwater, Oklahoma, Dustin's best friend, Danny, pulled their car up to Boomer Lake, near the housing addition where Dustin's on-again, off-again boyfriend, Eric, lives. Danny said that when she dropped Dustin off, Eric was there waiting for him. And after she left, no one ever heard from Dustin again. So he didn't vanish in some puff of smoke or make any kind of dramatic exit. He just walked off with Eric in plain sight and never came back. Now, it wouldn't have been unusual for Dustin to disappear for a little while. He had a habit of falling off the radar, especially when things got tough. But he always came back. Always texted on birthdays, holidays, and little family anniversaries.
Him and I had a falling out over Eric and the drug issues. But that didn't stop us from
staying in touch,
communicating or loving each other. You know, he would not let, he wouldn't let my birthday or Mother's Day go by. I mean, if people tried to say, well, maybe he just went underground, you know, maybe he's in hiding. Even if he did, he would steal a cell phone, text me, email me, call me, and then get rid of the cell phone. Because I had told him before, when he was not good about staying in contact, I would text him, you have exactly so many days to call me back, text me, email me something, or I will file a missing persons report.
But after that winter day, nothing. Not a whisper, and not a trace. Kimberly filed the missing persons report after she spoke with Danny, after hearing the account of the last time she saw Dustin, which confirmed to her that something was very wrong. The first deputy assigned to the case took her statement and seemed to care. But like so many of these types of investigations, Dustin's case changed hands. And when it did, Kimberly started receiving excuses.
The first deputy that had his case was awesome. And he said, well, no, we've already identified the remains or the body, but I would like to talk to you about your son. Yeah. He immediately came out, spent a couple of hours. It was just great. You know, I was like, I'm hopeful. Maybe they could find something. And then it got passed off to another deputy who Dustin called Butterbean.
As it would turn out, the new investigator happened to be someone Dustin had clashed with in the past. And that's when Kimberly started getting a lot of excuses, such as they didn't have the manpower, and they would look into his case once they hired more staff. At some point in the investigation, an officer did speak with Eric. Eric claimed that the last time he saw Dustin was over the 4th of July weekend in 2017. Eric further stated that Dustin had spent that night with him, then stole $200 and vanished. But police never questioned Danny, whose account is quite different, and because of that, they never followed up with Eric.
You know, her and Dustin had worked together. Well, Danny saw that I had made that post, the very first post on Facebook, and she said, no, wait, what? And I said, yeah. She said, I haven't heard from him. And I said, okay. And she goes, I dropped him off.
It's now been over 7 years since anyone has seen or heard from Dustin. And Kimberly still wakes up to that same quiet ache, wondering, hoping, and fighting. That silence has been deafening. There have been no attempts by Dustin to reach anyone he knows. There's no digital footprint from him since December of 2017. No calls, no texts, no online posts, no pings. But the silence doesn't end with Dustin. Kimberly has reached out to every news outlet in Oklahoma City and Tulsa. She's gone to the Attorney General, even to the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation. And nothing has happened.
I've tried to go to channel 4, 5, and 9 out of Oklahoma City and 25. And I have reached out to channel 2, 6, and 8 and channel 23 in Tulsa. Nobody has given Dustin the time of day.
For us at They Disappeared, it's a simple request for investigators. Talk to Danny, the woman who last seen Dustin with Eric after she dropped him off at Boomer Lake, near the house of a man who once bit him so hard during a fight that he had a permanent scar on his ear. Just follow up. Until you do, we won't know what really happened at Boomer Lake and what happened to Dustin. And who's afraid out there of what they might find if someone does finally decide to dig. So if you out there have any information on the disappearance of Dustin Clark, please contact the Payne County Sheriff's Office or reach out directly through our website. I also want to give a special thank you to Dustin's mom, Kimberly, for telling me Dustin's story. I'll be praying for her and her family to finally receive the answers and justice they deserve. Thank you again for listening to this episode of They Disappeared. For bonus content, you can visit our website, Facebook page, or our Patreon page, all of which are linked in the show notes. This episode was produced by Katie Haze. To see and hear more of her work, please visit her website at katiehaze.com.